All right, on the bench today, out of a 2009 BMW 750Li with a 4.4, we have the good old ZF6HP26. 129,000 miles on it, and this is your typical problem in the higher gears, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All right, we drove it around. When it gets hot, the client claims that he's on the parkway, maybe goes to kick it down and races up, goes into like neutral, goes into limp mode. All right, we got the car here. We were driving it around because he stopped in a few weeks prior to bring the car in just to make sure we can take it when he was available. And at that time, when I scanned it, we had the typical gear monitoring E-clutch, transmission ratio monitoring 6.5. I guess when he would kick it down, it would go into neutral. And I cleared everything, and those codes didn't come back. I'm not sure how much he used the car, but we drove it. I mean, we got this thing good and hot, drove it, had my lead guy drive it on the parkway. It didn't really happen for him, but he said it wasn't shifting correctly in the higher gears. So I called him and just to let him know what we felt and found, and he says, go ahead and do it. So we're gonna open this transmission, and I'm sure we're gonna find typical worn bushing, maybe E-clutch. This particular one, I like to look at the clutch fill time so I can show the guy, but on some of them you could read it and some of them you can't, and this one I could not read it. So we're gonna open it up and see what we got with this transmission. All right, so I'm gonna get a little closer. We're gonna take the flange off, and then I kind of broke all the bolts loose, so we'll just take all the pump bolts out, we'll flip it, get the pan off, valve body, and then go from there. Nice transmission to work on. And let me get a little closer, we will get started. All right, well, first we'll get the flange nut off. That is the 34 millimeter 12 point. All right, you just gotta kind of unpeen it here, which I did already in 2 spots. So this, doesn't move, so I had to move the little J bracket there to get out of park, because this one's parked by wire. So here's the flange nut. And flange comes off, you got a seal in there, black rubber seal in there, the seal right on the output shaft here. Okay, done with the big gun. All right, now, just gonna take the pump bolts out. This way, when it's turned over, we can just go ahead and kind of get the pump out and the front section after the valve body comes out. Gonna have a run on these this week. I got this one to do. I got 2 Land Rovers waiting to come out, and then I got a Jaguar coming in, but that's just going to be for a transmission service. All 6 HP26s. Okay. So it is the park-by-wire cable. There's the J bracket that moves it to get out of park. So you got to be careful how this cable is adjusted so you don't get any codes. The butt end of the cable cannot, when a transmission is in park, cannot be right up against this. It'll be misadjusted, and it may go back into park on you. So it's got to be, like 2 or 3 millimeter gap in there. I think I actually did a video on that at one point to show how far away it should be. And this I'm going to clean because it's all rusty. I'll clean this with a wire brush here. Okay, I'm hoping this transmission was drained. I do not know. All right, so now we got to get a torque 40. These bolts are pretty rotted here too, so I got brand new bolts for this as well I'm going to use. There's also the big engine oil leak that he thought was the rear main seal, but it's actually coming out of the valley, you know, on top in the V, so. Not the rear main seal. I don't know if this fluid's going to come pouring out or what. Probably drain. Okay, somebody had the pan down. There's all the silicone here. At some point somebody serviced it. All right, there's the pan. Okay, so we're going to lift up on our tab. Okay. We'll get the sleeve out. That's going to be changed. Give me a new one in the ZF overhaul kit. You get that new, along with, of course, the bridge seal. All right, now we're going to get the valve body off. That, of course, also is torque 40. Valve body off. Okay. Alright, so I gotta just get these seals back in the bridge seal, but it's intact. But getting a new one. Alright, so there's our valve body, and this is a Gen 2. You can tell by the back section here. Also, the solenoids. They're very faded, but they are 3 yellow, 2 blue, and 2 orange. Okay. Now let's get the sealing sleeves out. Longer. Okay. Let's just get this one. Okay. All right. We're going to gently pry the A drum, and that will get us the front section to pump and the front section out. Usually comes right out with no problem. The Ford setup of these, the 6R80, not so easy to come out. course, is the bushing. And these are the ones that definitely wear out. This gets replaced when I get the bushing kit, the door bond bushing kit, brass bushing goes in. So we have the A and the E drum here. Just get this thing apart first. Okay, the B clutch drum, bearing. All right, now we're going to get the snap ring out. Let's see how easy that's going to move. That should come out. No problem. Sometimes they're a little tight there. This one should come out, no problem. There's a big heavy snap ring. It actually is the same on both sides. So, all right, now the SEM support, the C, and the D clutch. This thing, belt housing, is really messing with all this oil that was leaking. Okay. So let's get this, hopefully the SEM support will slide right out. There we go. Right, now I'm going to plan it along with the D clutch out. Let's just bring this down a little bit. Okay. So here's the D clutch, not in bad shape. Okay, and ring gear, output shaft, exciter ring for the output speed sensor. Okay, we have a bearing race here, and then maybe a shim. There is here, which goes right there. Okay, and there's also a shim actually on the flange side as well. So let's just spin this case around here. Okay, here is the washer for the bearing shim for the flange. All right, so case is stripped. Okay, now let me just get rid of this oil, get rid of the case, put it on the other bench, and we'll open up the pump and the drums, check the clutches, and finish it up. Pretty simple trans to work on. Everything's pretty straightforward. And I will be right back. All right, so let's check out the A and the E clutch. So we got a snap ring that's locked in here. So I just put a flat screwdriver in, give it a tap, and out it comes. Okay, just check the orientation of how the snap ring goes before you put it back in. Okay, so we'll take the hub off for the C clutch, the hub for the A clutch, and the hub for the E clutch. All right, so let's take a look. Seems like a little bit of play in this E clutch. Oh yeah, flaked off, they're burnt. Nope, no good. Bad. This one is not much left on that, if you can see that. Okay. That is the E. So we're going to remove it. We have a bearing here, open face bearing for the E. All right, let's check out the A clutch. These two bushings in here are going to be changed. Okay, not bad. See if we can get this planet out of here. You got to push in the snap ring, and then you got to push in and lift up on the planetary. Sometimes they come right out, sometimes they don't. Came right out. No need to really touch this washer. These things are very fragile and may break, so I just leave it alone. And you have your planetary with the sun gear. Okay, also, again, I know I mentioned it before, the drum has these tabs on it, and the piston, balance piston, has where the planet sits. So I mark with a Dremel, I make a line, so everything gets lined back up, so it'll fit right in. All right, the B clutch. I'm going to change both bearings in here, and you got to knock that bushing, both bushings in here, and you got to knock that bearing down far enough so it does not hit the lip of this bearing. Okay, all the bearings should be pressed versus hit. Okay. A little dark, but not bad, not bad. The E clutch, again, this problem, typical problem with the higher gears, and you saw the E clutch was no good. Primarily due to probably the worn bushing, because this would happen when the car got really, really hot. Okay, so the D clutch is on this side. This piston's a little tricky. I usually always take pictures. All right, these are the lugs to stop the second from turning. I always kind of take a picture of how this is oriented, so I make sure it goes back the same way. So we're going to remove this, because there's some tabs here, how this goes. You know, it's got to go a certain way. All right, so we're going to take a look at the C clutch. Okay, got some burn marks on the steels here, but again, I do have a OE friction module that I'm going to be using. Okay, also here is a bearing race. Pump. Okay, we got a shim here. And then we have a torque 30 for these pump hooks. I'm hoping these things are just going to come right out. Let's give it a shot. Put a lot of pressure downward, because you don't want it to sink the strip. I mean, the bolt's available, I'm sure, through Ericsson's. Okay. Now we're going to take them all out and leave two in. That one. That one. Okay, very nice here. And bottom of the gears, we've got the dot facing me. This pump looks really nice. Really nice. Get rid of this oil. Okay, pocket looks good. There's a bearing here. Okay. And you got your pump O-ring, be changed, and your front seal will be changed. There's your typical E-clutch problem due to a worn rear stator bushing, leaking the E-clutch ply oil, burning the clutch out, losing the pressure. Because the E-clutch on these things are the driving clutch, and that means it's on in 4th, 5th, and 6th and stays on. So if you don't have a good E-clutch and pressure, it's not going to be able to hold it when the other, you know, like in 5th and 6th gear. Just like on the 4T65E, the second clutch is the driving clutch. And it's on in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So if there's a problem with that, you're not going to have 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Actually, I seen one time on a 4T65E, there was a stuck valve and it would bypass 2nd and shift to 3rd and shift to 4th. And the valve was in the center support. I think it was the actuator feed valve. And that valve, and that's the first time I said it, I says, wow, it's got no 2nd, but it's got 3rd and 4th. I said, it's got to be something with a valve or a solenoid. So when we did the job, I went through it and I found that one valve was stuck pretty solid. Okay. So that's about it. Okay, getting back to this 2009 BMW 750 Li. Problem in the higher gears, typical E-clutch problem, as I said, and you saw. These clutches are even flaking off. They're burnt. Here's kind of one side that's really not too burnt. And the rest of these are burnt. This is all flaking off. So, overhaul kit, friction module, bushing kit, solenoids. We got a B065 plate, that is a Gen 2. Pan, Lifeguard 6, converter coming from Ericsson's. And that should get this thing going. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you next one.